can't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You can't talk about how, it's the time of year, it's the economy, it's my market, it's my movers. It's none of that. Got to get real with yourself. You know what I mean? Like I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, all right, enough of this. Like, you got to step up, put your big boy pants on and do what you need to do. Like, enough whining about this. You put yourself here. You opened up all these offices. You were overextended in this stuff. Like, now get yourself out of it. Maybe you've got to fire some people. Maybe you've got to sell some trucks. Maybe you've got to cut off an unproductive, money losing division, right? Don't be afraid to take the massive action to save yourself now. But then when you're out of it, don't forget what happened. Hey, my friend, it's Massaro, and welcome to the Moving Mastery Podcast. I've got my main man, Chris, here today. What's up, Chris?
Hello.
And listen, the purpose of this podcast is to help you take your moving company to that next level, whatever that is for you. This is for moving company owners. This is for, anyone working for a moving company that wants to help take that business to the next level and provide value. And I promise you will get practical takeaways that you could apply in your business so that you could start making more money, live a better quality of life, reduce your stress, and go make it happen. So we've been doing these new episodes where Chris is finding questions either in my social media feed or questions that come in through support, and surprising me with them on these episodes. He's like, look, I think that the best way that, you could be serving and helping people is let me just, drop some of these questions on you without you having any time to think them through. And let's just see what, comes out of it.
We got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
what do you got? A question today or?
I do. This one I think you'll like. So, recently, we had a very long email come into our support desk. Okay. And I read it and
it's a customer or a client or?
I think yes, he's just a guy who had a question who
okay.
I thought I should maybe give him a call, so I did. Okay. And he explained his situation. I wanted to see how we could help him. So he explained his situation to me. I took some notes here. So basically, he's got a good sized moving company. He's doing about 1.4 million. Okay. He's having an issue with his ops manager / dispatcher. The guy's kind of playing dual roles there. Okay. The issue he's having is he doesn't feel that the ops manager is pulling his weight. And he says this because he feels like he's paying him too much. Right?
How much?
He's paying him about $75,000 a year. Okay. And he feels like the ops manager just isn't pulling his weight. They're having some issues. They've been, missing some moves. There's some issues with not having enough movers to cover the jobs. And the ops manager's just been kind of dropping the ball. Mm-hmm. Right. And aside from that, there's been some cash flow issues. He's already, in the red for his January P&Ls. He said he was about $26,000 in the red
for the month of January. Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to just throw this situation at you and ask you, what you think. Like, how would you help this guy?
So, was the only issue that he expressed was his problem with the ops manager and then cash flow? Is that?
Yeah, pretty much. I think he's having some issues with, the slower months during the winter and just the general cash flow for the business. Yeah.
But the ops manager is not doing what he's supposed to do.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously I don't know enough about it, right? There's a lot that leads to being 26,000 in the red, right? In January, not just the ops manager. So, who else does he have in the office? Did you get into that? I'm sure you asked him.
He's got a small sales team, like 3 salespeople.
Okay. So it's him, 3 salespeople, and this ops / dispatcher.
That's it.
Doing $1.4 million.
1.4.
Okay. So, there's not enough information to really dive into why he's 26K in the red, right?
Yeah.
But right off the bat, I could tell you that if you've got an ops manager, dispatcher is not doing what they're supposed to do and they're making 75K and you're losing 26,000 a month, it's time to make some massive changes.
Yeah.
Right. So, the first thing I would do is listen, it's not about you don't have the money, cut people, but it is about if the guy's not the right fit and you're bleeding out money, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right. It's a much harder decision when somebody's really good and you're having cash flow issues and you're kind of concerned what you should do. But if he's clearly not the right fit, get that money back.
Yeah.
Right. Meaning cut that salary and go do it yourself. At $1.4 million, go back into the business. There's a reason that the ops manager is not doing what the ops manager is supposed to do. Right. And it sounds to me like he's probably just a dispatcher. Like a lot of people will call a dispatcher an ops manager, but it sounds to me like that's probably what he is. I don't know. 75,000 knows it's more ops manager pay.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those issues were coming from scheduling issues, movers not having enough movers, jobs getting missed, things like that.
Yeah. So there's bigger issues here at hand. So
yeah.
Let's just say you've got some stuff out of control, right? Right now, what I would do, here's the questions that I would want to guide him through to get more information. I would want to understand, what it is that the ops manager is not doing, what it is he's asked him to do that he's, just blatantly not getting done, right? And the best thing you could do in that situation, it's look, if you're low on cash flow, and you've got a $75,000 employee that's not doing what they're supposed to do, that's an easy target. Send them on his way. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of business. Send them on his way and go back and sit in that dispatch seat yourself as the owner of the company. And then this time you do it right. This time you go in, and while you're sitting in that seat, look, we talk about you want to work on your business and not in your business, right?
Yeah.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
But sometimes you've got to go back and work in your business in order to be in a position to successfully work on your business. Mm-hmm. Right? I remember, what year was it? I had 5 locations already. I had the call center going, right? I had stepped into this moving CEO role that we talk about, where I was kind of running the business off of meetings and numbers and block time on my calendar. And we had a dispatcher in that same location, in that South Florida office, that was just same kind of situation. Wasn't pulling his weight, wasn't doing what he was supposed to do.
Really?
Had systems, had process, but just was this, I don't know, had personal issues. I don't know what was causing him not to do what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it came to the point, I was like, you know what? Enough's enough. He's got to go. And luckily, I was in a position at that point where I wasn't tied to any specific function of the business, right? I kind of stepped into a role, that the moving CEO role, right?
So you weren't involved in the day-to-day.
The day-to-day could run without me. Everything I was working on was projects and building the business and improving things. And I was like, you know what? I love the dispatch. That.
Really?
Yeah. To go sit, when I first started, it was man, to sit and have 50 jobs on the calendar for the day, and try to get them all serviced. That's
kind of fun.
It's so fun.
That's where all the action is, right?
And it's so satisfying to be able to have this schedule that feels man, how are we going to get this done, and then pull it all together. So I enjoy it. I hadn't done it in a long time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to fire him, and I'm going to personally go do it. Right. And this time I'm going to go in and I'm going to totally make sure that, I'm going to refine tune it, right? The processes, maybe they were outdated a little bit, right? Maybe they needed to be tightened up. Maybe they needed me to come in and look at it and go, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So I did it in the middle of the summer, and it was 2 or 3 full months that I dispatched while running the call center, while running 4 other locations. Right.
Really?
I went back in and I tightened that up so much that the next guy that came in, I set him up for success.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, I was telling this to a private client, and he went and did the same thing.
Yeah.
He went in and said, you know what? I'm sick of this guy's, I'm sick of his shit. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to clean house and do it myself. He'd been so far removed. You probably know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. He's got the franchises.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So he went in and cleaned house. Sent me a picture of the guys of the desk and was like before and after, and it was like a total disgusting, just gross looking desk, right? Unorganized as could be. And then like a nice, clean, methodical desk. And he's like, look, I did it. It's on point. I'm training somebody new now, and it's night and day, right? Yeah. So the point I'm making is for this guy, and we don't say his name, whoever he is.
No, we'll respect his privacy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you got to go back in. You got to get in that driver's seat.
Yeah.
Right. There's a reason you're losing $26,000 a month, and it's not because your operations manager is not listening to you.
Do you feel like is that a step backwards? I mean, should an owner feel bad about doing that?
No, absolutely not. I think that a lot of times we see company owners that need to make these kind of moves. Right. Like this is probably way overdue. Right, the 26,000, in the red in on his P&L in January. Is that right?
That's what it was. 26K. Yeah.
That didn't happen overnight, right? Yeah. There's a longer issue here, right? Of just probably, if I had to guess, things are just not being run tight.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got somebody making too much money. Okay, you've got a department that's not performing the way it's supposed to. You're a smaller company. 1.4 is not it's a good sized company, but it's not a huge company where you're so far removed from the day to day. I would fire the guy and go in there and set it up right this time. Yeah. Go in there and say, what can be done better? How can this be done better? And start laying out processes. Never go, if you're ever going to it's not a step back at all. It's like, let me go do what's going to make the biggest impact in my business. And what's going to make the biggest impact in the business is not just hiring a replacement and bringing that replacement in to work with a disorganized department. It's what it sounds like. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is, right? We could put the blame on the ops manager, but part of that might be the ops manager and part of it might be lack of direction as well.
Yep.
So let's not bring somebody else in to then deal with that mess. Let's go in and take the time to build that department out the right way. And while we're there, build the processes. And I keep saying that because never go and work in your business after you've already removed yourself just to cover somebody or just until I get somebody new or until we hire somebody else. Like, make use of that time.
Mm-hmm. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity because the only way you could really create a process is by doing it.
That's true. How would you know?
You can't sit from afar and go, okay, you should do this, 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 and this. You could start that way, but then it has to be tested, right? To see if it works correctly. So that would be the first thing I do.
Okay.
Second thing I would do is I would look at these three salespeople and see how they're performing, right? I would look at the three salespeople. I would pick a few calls from each of them to listen to, right? Hopefully he's got a script. Hopefully there's some structure there. But he's got to listen to their calls and see what it is they're saying, right? Look for their closing techniques. If he might not know what to look for, right? But I think there's enough free videos on my website.
Massaro.com.
And on this podcast that nobody even has to buy anything to get some little basic tips,
sure,
right, on things to look for. But you've got to make sure your booking percentage is up, right? Because you're 26,000 in the hole. It's because your labor cost is too high, meaning you're not charging enough for your moves, right? If let's say your average moves at $1,000 and you're paying out $400. You're paying out 40% of every move in labor. It's either you're paying your movers too much or you're not charging enough for your moves.
Yeah.
And most times it's that you're not charging enough for your moves, right? So it's like you've got to, sales solves so much, right? You get the sales process dialed in, it solves so much. You got these three people. If these three people are burning through leads, not following up with leads, right?
You're
Not
losing
closing at a higher percentage. If he doesn't know his marketing ROI to understand like which lead sources are actually profitable, right? Like the 26,000 is going somewhere. The money's coming in the top. Did you get a gross number for January or no? You just know
No,
it's 1.4
I
for the year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah, so he's probably, I don't know. I'd say he's probably maybe 80,000 or something for January. Maybe even less. I don't know. But I mean,
but just bleeding.
just bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bigger issue in it, and something led up to that. And we don't know if his books are accurate either, right? Like that 26,000 could be, you know, stuff from the previous month that was recorded on this month. He could have like double rent payments on his books if it's not done right, based on just how it's being recorded. But regardless of all that, like we don't have enough information to fully give this guy like a prescription on what to do.
Yeah.
But we'll talk in general.
Okay.
Right. He's got to get rid of the sales manager. He's got to go in and tighten up the sales process. Listen to the calls of each rep. See where there's opportunities that they're missing. Right? You want to make sure that they're going for the sale. You want to make sure that if the customer, you know, has any type of, hey, you know, I need to check around or whatever, they don't just say, okay, great, I'll call you back. Right? You need to make sure they're capturing lead data. Right? Somebody calls in for a quote, they're putting that information into your system.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your leads that you're paying for. Right? So I could almost guarantee you that his sales department is needing a revamp. Right.
And you think he should raise the rates?
No, I'm not saying I don't know what he should do. I don't have enough information to really give. I don't want like him to listen. Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
And go, this is what I should do. I'm saying if anyone's struggling with cash flow, right, there's a bigger issue at hand. You're either paying too high of labor. Okay. Which again, I'm repeating this because you're paying too high in labor percentage. Not that your movers are getting too much. You just might not be charging enough. There's two ways to lower your labor percentage, and it's either you lower what you're paying your movers or you increase your price.
So it's more of like a per job basis than overall.
Yeah, overall. Well, revenue, you know, I do it on a weekly basis. So how much, you know, if you brought in 100,000 in a week, you paid out 25,000 in payroll, it's 25%.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, usually lowering your mover's pay isn't going to result in anything good, right?
They won't be happy about that.
You might have a little mutiny on your hands. So you need to raise the prices, but in order to raise the prices, you've got to be able to have a strong sales process, right? There's a lot to that. I mean, you could go look for all the sales material on my site or this podcast and start listening to that. Or you've got office staff that's getting paid too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this for $75,000 in a $1.4 million company, you should have been kind of running the day-to-day of this business.
Yeah, he does do a lot of day-to-day stuff. Now, as someone who...
Day-to-day is in like not just operations, not just dispatch. Because if he doesn't have a dispatcher, this operations manager is probably spending most of his time dispatching trucks.
Yeah.
Dealing with movers in the morning, dealing with the customers during the day, dealing with the movers when they come back. He's not, you know, running the whole business, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If there's not another dispatcher there. So
for someone who decides, okay, I'm going to go back into the business and I'm going to wear this hat. I mean, how long does it take to kind of revamp that position and get everything where you want it to be?
It all depends. You know, you might open up a real, you know, Pandora's
you might
box.
discover some secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, these types of things happen. And to me, I always, I see it happen to people. And even with me in situations where like, you know, you should have handled this a long time ago. You know, you should have dealt with it a long time ago and you just kind of let it linger to the point where you're 26,000 in the hole in a month, right? To the point that the dispatcher's ops manager's not listening to you and doing the things that you need. Like you should have handled that a long time ago. The minute you realized he wasn't the right fit, you should have gotten rid of him.
It's just been festering there for a while.
It's just been festering.
Yeah.
Right. And, yeah. So I think that, it could take a few weeks or it could take a few months. right? The key is not to put yourself, you go in on a mission. Don't take this, oh, honey, you wouldn't believe it. I got to dispatch trucks again, right? Be excited about it. Be like, I'm going to turn this shit around. Like, I'm going to fix this now.
Right. It's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be afraid of, you know, a lot of times people will be afraid of oh man, my movers are going to like, you know, like you feel like you've got to be perfect because you're the owner.
Yeah. Everybody's looking.
Everybody's looking.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is you can call on the people around you for help. You know, you could talk to your movers. Hey, help me out. How was he doing this before? And, you know, that type of stuff. And, you know, you don't have to know everything, right? You just have to be able to get the access to know everything.
What if, let's just say like in this particular situation, maybe instead he was paying the guy a reasonable salary, but there were still some issues, and he decides as the owner, you know what, I don't want to get rid of this guy, but I do want to revamp the position. How do you do that without taking over the position yourself?
You look, first of all, you want to always look at, you know, is the problems come in one of two ways, right? It's the people or it's the process. So every problem you're having in your business is either the people or the process, or the person and the particular process. So I always would look at the process first instead of blaming the person.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame the person. You know, the reality is, did you take the time to lay out exactly what they're supposed to do, or did you think that they're going to read your mind and just do a good job?
Yeah.
Right? Work hard, do a good job, hire movers, and they're supposed to figure out how to do it. So you could go work along. So let's say, you know, he was, like you said, he's okay. It's not that he's not listening and he wants to keep him around. He just wants to revamp the department.
Yeah.
Go into that department for 2 weeks. If you have, and if you're listening, you have any department, sales, your warehouse, storage, right? Movers on the job, doesn't matter. You go into that department for 2 weeks and that's all you do is spend time in there saying there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to fix all this that's going on, and develop processes that will make it run smooth. Like, oh, wow, we're dropping the ball here. We're dropping the ball there. How can we fix that? That's just a communication issue. Right?
Yeah.
The salesperson's not putting in the proper notes into the CRM. Well, the dispatcher's not able to see exactly what needs to happen on that job. So how is he supposed to tell the movers what to bring?
Right.
And you follow up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you just start to identify what the root cause of the issue is. You don't go in there and just start putting Band-Aids on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? You look for the root cause and know that this will be one of the most transformative things you could do for your business. I mean, I've advised many people to go do this in different departments. Oh, you're having an issue? Good. Go spend the next 2 weeks in that department and don't do anything else.
How long did you run dispatch?
It was 2 or 3 months. I forget. It was at least 2 months, but it was the middle of summer.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was just, you know, I was kind of having fun.
And you found somebody to fill the position. You had all the processes laid out for them, so they walked in and were able to be successful right off the bat. And then, what differences did that make in the company? Like, did you see?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, there's my story, and then there's the stories of our clients, right? Yeah. And so I think of so many scenarios where myself or someone else went in to a department and like, I'm going to fix this department. And maybe they fix that and that was the end of it. Or they fixed that and then they realized that, oh, this other area needs some help.
You discovered somewhere else that...
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you go in and remodel a house, you're like, oh, we're going to get this house. And, you know, we'll just remodel the kitchen and the bathrooms. And then all of a sudden they look so fantastic. You're like, man, we got to redo the whole house. That happened to me before. So, you know, the thing is, it starts you on this path where it seems scary, where you don't want to jump in right away. Mm-hmm. Everybody resists it. I resisted it. The people that I give this advice to resist it. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They don't want to go back to, you know, getting on a truck. They don't want to go back to, you know, sitting in the dispatch seat and getting to the office at 6:30 in the morning. Yeah. They don't want to go back to calling leads and having to do all that stuff. But you've got to look at what's beyond that. right? It's either you're going to always struggle to figure out the same thing over and over and over, or you just take the time right now to go in and not go in with Band-Aids, but go in and perform surgery, fix that area. And you know what? If that, new, well-performing area starts to highlight another area that, seemed okay before, but now that this one's so good, this one doesn't seem as good anymore.
Yeah.
Great. Go spend a couple weeks there.
Yeah.
And work on that. Like, focus your attention on what's going to make the biggest impact in your business, but make sure that as you're doing it, you're leaving processes behind you. You're leaving role descriptions behind you, right? Like, if he's sitting in the chair of dispatch and doing that for a few weeks, he needs to be also working on the role description. What is it that I want a dispatcher to do?
Right.
Exactly.
Laying it out.
Like, not their processes, because processes and role description are different, right? Role description's like, I want them to dispatch the trucks every morning by 6:30 a.m., right? I want them to clock out the crews. They're writing out a description of what they would do, and then, morning dispatch in and of itself would have its own process.
Yeah.
Clocking out the crews would have its own process. But what is it I want from this individual? And then when you go to hire that person, you know exactly what you're looking for.
Right.
Right? Instead of just hiring somebody like, oh, they seem like a good person. You're like, no, this is exactly what I need. I mean, it becomes essentially also your job description and what you're able to talk to somebody about with what you're looking for in the position. Where, I know from my early days, and I know from, working with people, a lot of times you'll sit down to hire somebody like, yeah, we're looking for somebody. This is kind of what you do, and this is kind of what you do, and here's what's going on.
Sit and watch this guy for a while.
Sit and watch him, and you'll kind of see, and that's it, right? If you could be specific, this stuff changes your business.
Yeah.
Right? So the point I want to make is, don't be afraid to go back into your business. Don't feel like you're taking a step back to be able to do it. Like, for me, early on, like, I opened multiple locations, and then I had issues. The guy who was running my main location just wasn't doing a great job, right? And so I had
you're
to go
somewhere over here.
Well, I'm somewhere over here.
Yeah.
So I had to then go over there and do the same thing. So now that I think about it, I actually had to go back into dispatch several times, right? While I was growing all the locations, I'd have to go and sit at that office for, a few weeks to a month, right? Figure it out. And this is early on, before I had the set processes that were uniform across the locations. So it was a struggle to like refigure it out, bring somebody in, retrain them. All right. During this whole process of flying back and forth to locations, dealing with this is when I'm like, no, it's got to be uniform.
Oh, you're plate spinning. Yeah.
It's got to be uniform across the board. Everybody's got to do it the same way, or I can't tell if they're doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. For somebody who has, let's say they've gone into the business, they've reestablished the roles, the processes for that position. They've cleaned it up. They've cleaned up the mess, right? They feel confident. They hire somebody else, bring them in, and they step away to go back to working on the business, right?
You'll be a different person.
Yeah.
That process will make you a different person. All the fear, uncertainty, and insecurity that you feel in your business is because of your lack of control of what's going on. When you go back in and you get that control again, you got your hands on it, right?
Yeah.
You put you've got your hands on the steering wheel, like you've got it.
Yeah.
And then you like design it in a way with your current level of knowledge, experience, and an ability to implement, right? And with this information, and then you step away, you're stepping away knowing that person has a role description. They've got processes to do what they need to do. I have ways for checks and balances to know what's going on. I've got time set up to meet with them to make sure that our agenda is where it needs to be and we're moving things along. I know my numbers and metrics and all that. You're a different person. You know what I mean? You come out of it stronger,
Yeah, the confidence is there.
The confidence is there.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully, you learn like, okay, I can't just move so quickly in trying to grow that I sacrifice setting things up the right way in the foundation so that I have something to actually grow on and stack on instead of doing it on quicksand.
Yeah.
And I think you got to, if you're in this position and you're thinking about, okay, I've got to go back into the business, or you're having cash flow issues, you've got to look around too and say, like, everybody that I've got on salary, are they like holding their weight? Are they worth that? We'll see a lot of times people will have, like way too much office staff for what they have going on. And the reason somebody ends up with all that office staff is because of inefficiencies within their processes. Right? So if you're able to go in there and streamline all that and go, well, this takes 10 steps. How could we just do it in 2 steps? Right? Like, why does all this work have to be done by the bookkeeper when the CRM could just integrate directly with QuickBooks, and that eliminates the need for that? Right? So you start to find all these areas where you could make it more efficient, and now you don't need all these people.
Yeah.
Right. Which is another cause of why somebody would be, 26,000 in the red, is that their fixed payroll is way too high.
That's what I was going to ask you is if, let's say things are going well and you're not having issues, but there are probably some inefficiencies. There are probably some, unnecessary steps and tasks going on within the company. Like, would you recommend an owner step away from the business to go work on that when things are going well, or should they just wait until there's an issue?
So I would say that if you're looking to optimize your business and you know that you could be doing better in certain areas, right? Analyze what those are. And if you're unsure, what I used to love to do is I used to like to go sit in a department for a few days or a week, right?
Like regularly?
Yeah, when I felt that there was something there that could be improved.
Yeah.
And I would just sit there and take notes and not say anything to anybody. Tell them, listen, I'm just going to hang out in here. But it was like customer service or sales or dispatch, and just kind of see how things went. I would never, ever, ever interfere at the moment. If I saw the dispatcher doing something that was just wrong, I wouldn't say anything at the moment.
You wait.
I'd wait, because otherwise now he's on eggshells. And it just creates, and I want him to do his normal thing. I don't want him to be on his best behavior because I'm there.
Yeah.
So I wait and I just make notes, and I look for areas that can be, optimized.
Okay.
Right. And the only way, we talk about gaining freedom, right? And be able to work on, that's working on your business. That's not working in your business. Working in your business would be to be the dispatcher.
Yes.
But to go sit in a department and observe it for ways that you can make it better so your customers get better service and you make more money, that's working on your business. And so when you identify, like, I'm sure if you're listening right now, get out a pen, get out a piece of paper, just write down off the top of your head. I bet you've got 5 to 10 areas where you can improve right now.
Right.
5 to 10 areas where you can improve. Take those, put them in order of priority. Which one will make the biggest impact in my business now? And just put them on the calendar and start chipping away one at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a way for an owner to when they're in that position, is there a way for them to not let the other responsibilities they have, or for them to continue working on growing the business and scaling at the same time, or should they just put that on hold and just focus on doing the dispatch for the next 2 weeks? And that's it.
It depends, right? I mean, it kind of depends on what, a lot of people are trying to scale before they have the foundation under control.
Bad idea.
It's such a bad idea. I mean, I did it, and it's like I'm the only reason I was able to recover from it is because I was a young kid that didn't have any responsibilities as far as like family or kids or anything like that, and I could work all these hours and fly all these places to keep it all under control. But if you start to scale and grow, Meaning like open another location or open another division or something like that. When your foundation isn't on point, you're always going to end up back in that dispatch seat. You're always going to end up back on that sales floor. You're always going to end up back, dealing with your long distance trucks, right? And you've got to be able to look back and go, okay, let me look at the history of my business. Let's say you've been in business 10 years. How many times did I have to like go back to the drawing board? It's like, and now I got a good ops manager. I got a good sales manager. Oh, it's cool right now for a few months. And then something happens and then you're back there. So if you take the time, and like for me, if young me was listening to this, I'd feel like, it was some like old dude giving me like advice, like slow down. And it's not that. It's you can't build if you don't have a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to take, the key areas, right? You got to make sure you're generating leads, booking moves, servicing moves, making sure your customers are happy and giving you 5-star reviews, and then your accounting, your reports, and all that. You've got to make sure that stuff is on point. And once it's on point, you could build on that.
Yeah.
Right? You could build on that. And you've got to make sure that your team is pulling their weight. And sometimes we overreach. Sometimes we overstep. Sometimes we hire, right, a big position, or we open another location, or we get into another division. We start doing long distance, or we start doing commercial, or we get distracted. If you find yourself in a place where you've kind of overreached, and that one little overreach is causing issues everywhere else, like don't be afraid to pull back on that. Don't be afraid to let people go. Don't be afraid if, you opened an office 3 years ago and it's doing nothing but losing money, and it's taking your time and energy away from your breadwinner, your main office, right? It's either you've got to take enough massive action to go and get that other office under control and profitable now, without just assuming that it'll get profitable, or shut it down.
Yeah.
And focus on where you make money, right? We've only got so much individual bandwidth and energy. And if you're being diverted in all these like non-productive ventures or with these non-productive employees, right? You could streamline, make it easier on yourself, and make more money.
You're not failing.
You're not failing.
Yeah.
You're not failing.
There's no shame in getting your focus. Right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, there's no shame in that, and it's a shame that people will be so afraid to quote unquote fail that they'll keep like pursuing the wrong thing.
What do you mean? Like,
let's just say they've got they're I don't know. I've seen it with people where they get in, they're so excited to get into military.
Yeah.
Right? Or they're so excited to get into commercial, or they're so excited to get into long distance. And they do it, and it's beyond their current bandwidth of what they can really handle. Like they underestimated what it was going to take to really take that on and own that. They figured, hey, I own a moving company. No problem. I could do that too, or I could do that too, or open another office. And realize that no, this thing's like a whole like monster in and of itself. And I see it, right, where they'll let it drag the good part of their company down and drag their energy down. So you've got to be able to look and say, you know what, this is a division that's not working. I miscalculated this. I'm not saying just give up because it's hard at first. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is you've done everything, right? You've taken the action you needed to take. You looked at it and said, how do we fix this? And you went and took that action. Still doesn't work. And meanwhile, other areas are slipping. Your main business where your money's is slipping. Your home life, slipping. Your health, slipping, right? But somebody won't cut off that division and say, you know what, let's just go back and let's just do, local moves, for example. Let's just stick with that for now and regroup, because they're afraid of being a failure to all these imaginary people they think are watching and caring.
Yeah.
Right. And I could say that because I used to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've gone through it, and I've grown and I've evolved. So I know that nobody's watching, nobody cares. But if there's if there's an ankle weight that's holding you back, that's just not productive, cut it off and focus on the stuff that works and keep it simple. There's no badge of honor for, going down with that sinking ship.
Yeah. There's no shame in admitting that you may have bit off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
And that's probably a sign of business maturity in that situation, when you're able to admit that to yourself.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like, I think that, you said it perfect. To be able to realize that you bit off more than you could chew.
Yeah.
And that's a consequence of being a go-getter. Sometimes that happens.
It's going to happen.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're aggressive and you go after things, you may end up in a position where you bite off more than you could chew.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between, hey, I bit off more than I could chew, so for the next few months, I'm going to have to make all these adjustments to handle this.
Yeah.
And I bit off more than I could chew, and now I'm just going to drag myself through the mud and suffer for the next 3 years.
It's better to just stop the bleeding.
You got to just face facts, right? And have zero attachment to it as a failure.
Well, part of that, stepping away or closing down a division that wasn't working or whatever, inevitably you're probably going to have to fire somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never easy.
No.
Is there any kind of, how do you fire somebody? Is there a way to do it?
I mean, listen, the reality is you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And you just have to do it, and you have to go into it knowing that that's what you're doing. Right? That your decision is made. There's many reasons for firing somebody. We'll do a whole nother episode on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's many reasons, but that you could just not afford them anymore. Right? They're not the right fit. They blatantly did something that violates company policy. There's different ways of handling, but the reality is it's part of being a business owner.
Yeah.
You want to be a business owner, this is the stuff that comes with it. It's harder to be a business owner than it is to be an employee.
Right.
And there's a lot of risk and there's a lot of reward. So, and there's a lot of stuff that you have to do and responsibility that you have to take. And you've got to be able to accept that and own it. And that's just part of it. So the reality is, we'll do another episode on it, but if you've got to do it, you just have to do it. And you're not doing anybody any favors. If you knew you needed to let somebody go 6 months ago and you've kept them all this time, you're not helping them. They need to move on. Like, it's the struggle you have as a business owner and those decisions. And when you stay up late at night, like, oh man, they got a family. It's going to be hard on them. When I brought them in, I told them that there's unlimited potential here for them. And I've got to let him go, but he's, such a good guy or such a good gal. And like, you know what? That's the stress you deal with as a business owner, and them saying, oh shit, I just got fired. I need to now go find something else. How am I going to take care of my family? That's the stress that an employee deals with. It's part of the it's just part of business. It's part of how things work. They'll be okay. They'll find something else. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to tell yourself to do that. And you've got to really look and say, is this person in this position and what they do hurting me or helping me? And look at it overall, not like, well, they do some things that help. No. The money you're spending, right, that needs to be an investment in the value that they bring to the company. And if the money you spend, if they don't bring that value and then some, then, it either there needs to be an adjustment or they need to go.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as this guy's concerned, when was this, by the way?
I think last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd love to know more and be able to like dive in and give him a direct, direct answer. But overall, I mean, that's what it comes down to. You've got cash flow issues. It didn't just happen. You've got to know that, December, January, February, it could happen in the moving business. There could be a dip, So what you want to do is you want to learn from that. So if you're in a position where you're struggling with cash flow right now, you'll get through it. You'll be okay, right? Maybe you've got to fire some people. Maybe you've got to sell some trucks. Maybe you've got to cut off an unproductive, money losing division, right? Don't be afraid to take the massive action to save yourself now. But then when you're out of it, don't forget what happened.
Right.
Don't forget what you went through when summer comes and money's like flying from the ceiling and you're like throwing it up in the air like, Scrooge McDuck. Like you need to remember that and make sure that you put some money away for the off season, right? It's the reality of the business. You got to strategically plan for it and know what's coming. And it all comes back to the basics. And I know it sounds like, okay, Lewis, that's easy to say, but you've got to know your numbers. Mm-hmm. You've got to know where you're at. Every day, you've got to just say, you know what? Where do I need to go? What could I do to get myself there, right? It's so easy to, fall into like a dark place, right? And just feel down and out and depressed. I mean, I went through this in the recession, like I was juggling money between 6 offices, trying to keep everything afloat. Right? When everything just kind of came crashing, I had way too much money I was spending in yellow pages, and I had to deal with this and felt like the whole business was just collapsing on my head. I mean, it put me into like a very deep depression.
Really?
Yeah. And so I understand what it's like to be there, and it's not like, hey, just, save some money and you'll be okay. When you're there, you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Right? When you're going through it, that's not helpful. You just have to know that all you could do is the best you could do, and make sure that you're doing the best you could do. Make sure that each day you're taking good action, right? Whatever you got to do to snap yourself out of it and make it happen. Like that's the only way I got myself out of the mess. Was every day I was taking action. At first, it didn't feel like I was making a dent in the whole thing. But I was chipping away, reducing expenses, making more money here, becoming more efficient there, right? Just consistently making moves, and at the same time, putting things in place so that it would never happen again.
Right.
So it's like, if you're at rock bottom, there's only one way to go, which is up, right? You just have to like literally go, and every action you take on a daily basis needs to be leading you in that direction. You can't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You can't talk about how, it's the time of year, it's the economy, it's my market, it's my movers. It's none of that. Where you're at today is because of previous actions. And I don't say that to make you feel bad about it. I say it because like you've got to get real with yourself. You know what I mean? Like I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, all right, enough of this. Like you got to like step up, put your big boy pants on and do what you need to do. Like enough whining about this. You put yourself here. You opened up all these offices. You were overextended in this stuff. Like now get yourself out of it. Right? And you could do it. And then once you do it, I almost feel like, everybody goes through it at some level. Yeah. Everybody has those hard times. It's having them over and over and over again is strictly due to the lack of commitment and decision to say, like, this isn't going to happen again. Let me get this in order, right? Let me do it right this time, right? Use if you're down right now, if you're, just listen. You don't have to be going through a depression. You could just be having a bad month financially, right? And you just have to know it's time to really get serious about it, right? Like for me, I didn't get serious about it until that happened. I didn't really start diving into my numbers, diving into my processes, all that until I had to go through those hard times. Because before that, I was making so much money. It was like, whatever. My accountant be like, you have to review your P&Ls. Yeah, okay, whatever. Here they are. You review them, right? I got money. I'm good. You know. So listen, just know. Listen, if this is helpful, if this information is helping you right now, go back to the beginning of this podcast and listen to every single one of them. If you get tips, great. If you get inspiration, great. If you help shake off some of the fear and the uncertainty, great. You've got to get little bits and pieces as you rebuild your business. You've got to realize that you've got fear of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. What will happen? I get it. What's going to happen with my family? What's going to happen with my business? What's going to happen if I can't pay these bills? What's going to happen if I can't pay my employees? All that stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
It can be scary.
It could be scary. But you got to know that you could get through it. You just can't, you can't sit around and wallow in it. You've got to take action. And literally, if taking action means going back and spending your, turn Netflix off, listen to all of these episodes, right? If there's other stuff out there, great. I'm not, it's not about that, but I know what I have to be able to help you with.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's free. Go to the website, watch all those videos, go to YouTube, watch all those videos, and do what you need to do to get yourself in a position where you just say, like, never again. Like, this isn't going to happen again.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's great. I think a lot of people are going to find that helpful.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it happens to everybody. Like, we've got this the same way that I give these pep talks. Like, I give those to myself.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I have bad days. I have a bad few days. Right. I don't usually let it go past a few days, but you've got to keep yourself on point. That's it. And then you've got to be able to be real and go, yeah, I'm in this position today because I wasn't really that on point before.
Get the ego out of the way.
Get the ego out of the way. Stop making the excuses. Stop blaming it on other people. Nobody's coming to rescue you. You've got to step up and you've got to take the action you need to take.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Good. Well,
listen, if you guys like this episode, if it was helpful, do me a favor. Go on Instagram and take a snapshot of you watching this, you listening to this. DM it to me. I just want to know that you got some value out of it. Let me know what points in particular were helpful and what you're going to apply and what you're going to commit to. All right. I love seeing that stuff. It's not just about me putting information out there. I want to see the information applied. I want to see it help you, again, profit in your business and also thrive in your life, right? You've got to have both. You've got to constantly be raising up both. And so until I see you next time, go out there, profit in your business, thrive in your life. If you got any other questions, send them to me at Louis Massaro on Instagram. All my social media is at Louis Massaro. And we'll try to get it in on an episode for you. We'll see you next time. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you're really ready to take your moving company to that next level, watch that video right there. And until I see you in the next one, go out there every single day, profit in your business, and thrive in your life.